You're somebody who's not okay with just being satisfactory. Hi, I'm Zach Mahan. Welcome to my channel. If you're new, please hit the subscribe button. If you're returning, well, welcome back. We all know that discipline is the key to achieving our goals. Showing up consistently, putting in the work, that's what's really going to get us to where we want to go. But discipline is something that is built. It's not something that we're born with. So in this video, I hope to share what I've learned along on my journey, going from very low level of the violin to just in a year getting into a music university. And I did this through consistently showing up, putting in the effort even when it made no sense, even when it felt like I was just digging in the mud, making no progress. Hopefully I can share some of the insight that I've learned along the way that has allowed me to practice effectively and not waste my time. I think that's one of the most fundamental things, right? You can be the person that shows up every single day, but if you're mindlessly practicing and you don't have clear goals and you don't know what you're supposed to be doing, which I have personally dealt with, then you're not going to go where you want to. You're not going to make the progress that you need to. So hopefully I can lay out a clear progression on what you should be focusing on. These are the tips that helped me out and helped me make the quickest progress. 1, know exactly what you want to practice before you start practicing. If you get into your practice room and you pull out your instrument and you have no idea what progression you need to take, what areas you need to work on, what's the goal for the day, you're gonna waste all of that time, which you don't have, right? Time is valuable. It's the most valuable thing we have to get an understanding of what you should be practicing. Where instead, if you lay out a guideline of I need to do this first, then this clear progression, then you don't have to waste that time or that mental effort, and you can just simply go through in a flow state, like a lucid dream, right? The one way I've been able to do this most consistently is through keeping a practice log. I have this notebook, I got it for like $5 from Walmart, and in there, each day before practice, I'm able to write down, oh, these are my goals for the day. I need to work on scales, I need to work on double step scales. After that, I need to work on bowing technique. And then once I've completed those steps, then I can get into my repertoire. With this clear progression, I'm not sitting there wondering what next. And I think that's been the biggest aspect for me. Secondly, it's more important that the time you spend practicing is done practicing correctly, first and foremost, but also with intention. This kind of stems off of the first point, but it more hones in on the fact that you should be thinking about what you're doing, because if you're not thinking about what you're doing, then you're just going to end up practicing mistakes. So often we have this almost backwards perspective of how practicing and performance should be, right? We practice, we go through it 100 times, and it's not perfect, but it's practice, and we practice more than anybody else, and then we get to the performance, and then at this point it's supposed to become perfect, right? There's no room for mistakes. This personally has caused a lot of performance anxiety in my past, where I practice, but wasn't really intentional with that practice, and then I get to the performance and now, yep, I made all those mistakes in practice, but now I need to somehow play it perfectly without making those mistakes. Instead, and this will really help with your performance anxiety, flip it around. In practice, everything must be perfect. If the rep becomes bad, then I'm going to stop and restart. And then through perfect practice every single time, right? Practicing it to the highest standard, you've practiced playing it the right way and you haven't gotten those bad repetitions. Then when the performance comes around, and this is what personally takes all the stress on my shoulders, whatever happens, happens. It's at this point that you can let go and rely on the framework that you've built. But this only works if the framework that you built from the start is actually solid. If it's not, then that's where things fall apart. And my last point, discipline is something that is built. It's not something that we're born with. So often, especially when we see people on social media where we see their productive days, right? They'll give us a vlog of their productive day. We see them and we think, personally, I've felt this way. I'm like, wow, I could never be that disciplined. I could never show up that consistently. That's crazy. That's how I used to think. Now I understand, because I've been through the process, that discipline is something that you build. It's something that is built through showing up every single day. You don't have to think about the discipline of going to brush your teeth every single day, because it's something that you've just done. It just becomes habit. Discipline fundamentally is habits. We are creatures of habit. Building discipline is deciding what habits you want to maintain, which ones are helpful and point you towards your goal, or which ones are distractions and pulling you to either side of the path that you don't want to be on. Discipline comes down to being intentional. About a year ago, I realized that my practice habits were not going to get me to where I wanted to go. I realized that I was inconsistent. I would have months upon end where I would show up to my lessons and I would just get through it, and then I would practice 1 or 2 days a week. Sometimes I would feel good and I would practice 4 or 5 days a week, but then that would quickly dissipate, and then next week would come and I'd practice 1 day. This is where I realized that it's better to just show up consistently and build the brushing the teeth habit where you show up and just get the work in every single day. This is better to be built in smaller increments initially, right? 15 minutes. I'm going to practice 15 minutes every single day. Once you get past that initial 15 minutes, it's easier to go on. But you have to first have an achievable goal that makes you feel like you're making progress. Then, as time goes on, once you've built the initial habit, then you can build on from that, expound upon it, and build to where I've gotten now, where I practice 4 or 5 hours every single day. But it's because it's just what I do. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to wake up and be like, oh yeah, I need to practice today. No, it's just simply how my day revolves. It revolves around the fact that I need to practice every day. And that's where the true progress comes, through consistently showing up. Building this discipline is the most fundamental aspect for your success. I hope this helps. This is my first long form content piece like this. I'm still learning the ropes, but yes, please hit the subscribe button and follow me on my journey.